Today we'll be discussing the 7th Amendment to the Indian Constitution. Under this, we'll cover the need for the amendment, how this amendment simplified the categorization of states in India, what were the key changes made through this amendment, and what was the importance and impact of this amendment. So let's address the first question, that is, why was the amendment needed? The one-line answer to this question would be, the amendment was needed because we were doing reorganization of Indian states. After independence, Indian states were organized into 4 categories, and those 4 categories were Part A, B, C, and D. And this type of categorization of Indian states has created a lot of confusion and inefficiency in governance. So when the States Reorganization Commission was established or constituted in 1953, it has recommended that we should reorganize our states on linguistic and administrative efficiency basis, which means linguistic means on the basis of language, and we should also consider the convenience of administration. These 2 criteria should be kept in mind when we go for reorganization of Indian states. And now when we are reorganizing our states, that means we need to now alter the jurisdiction of high courts. We also need to do some judicial appointments to fill the vacancies. So administrative changes were also needed to adapt high courts and judicial appointments to the new structure. So these were the reasons why was the 7th amendment needed. Now let's talk about how this amendment changed the categorization of Indian states. So before the amendment, as I've told you, there were 4 categories of states: Part A, B, C, and D. Part A had former British provinces governed by elected legislature and governors like Bombay and Madras. Part B had former princely states governed by Raj Pramukhs, example Mysore, Hyderabad, etc. Part C had smaller princely states and provinces governed by chief commissioners, example Delhi and Ajmer. Part D had territories directly administered by the Union, that is the center, example Andaman and Nicobar Islands. So this is how the classification or categorization of states was like before the amendment. But after the amendment, all the states were reorganized into just 2 categories: states and union territories. States were formed by merging Part A and B, and union territories were formed by merging Part C and D. So this is how the 7th amendment simplified the categorization of states. Now let's analyze the key changes made through this amendment. The first important change was the reorganization of states. Now states were reorganized along linguistic lines, creating 14 states and 6 union territories. How this 7th amendment impacted high courts and judges? So this amendment allowed a common high court for 2 or more states. This amendment has made provisions for additional judges. If there is a backlog of cases, then additional judges can be appointed. Also, acting judges can be appointed on temporary basis to fill any vacancies. This amendment has also made provisions for the formation of interstate councils to resolve disputes and promote cooperation among states. This amendment has made provisions that a single governor can now administer multiple states. This will in turn facilitate the administrative efficiency. Now let's talk about the importance and impact of this amendment. So the first major significance of this amendment was it has given linguistic representation to the states. Now the language of a state has become its identity. It has simplified the governance of states by abolishing the complex classification of states which was earlier done. This amendment has enhanced judicial efficiency by reforming high courts and ensured that faster justice should be delivered. This amendment has strengthened the federalism in India by promoting cooperation among states and respecting regional aspirations of the people. There were some challenges which were created due to this amendment, and the first and the major challenge was the risk of regionalism due to linguistic divisions, and the second major challenge was the overuse of additional and acting judges. the appointment of additional or acting judges, it should be the exception. It should not be the norm. And due to this amendment, it has become a norm. And how this amendment has impacted the governance of India. It has established the modern federal system which we are following today, and it has also strengthened unity while accommodating diversity. With this, we are done with the 7th Amendment to the Indian Constitution.